All right, for this assignment, what we're doing is we're going to take our roof plan and project it into our front view and our side view to create an elevation drawing. And even though I'm giving you what roof slope we're going to use, I'm going to show you how to determine which one looks the best. And just to give you an idea, here's, well, that's kind of hard to see, isn't it, with that below it. Here's an example from another assignment from another class, which had an L-shaped building, okay? And then we project into our front view here and kind of fill in some of the details of our materials to get an idea of how the house will look. But I tried different roof slopes, and a 412 roof, the peak is here, 612 and 812 would be up here. Here's another one that has a hip roof. You can kind of see, I tried a 6 was down here below, and an 8 and 10 and 12. And so I kind of tried all of them before I decided which one I thought looked the best. And here's one that's a little more obvious without all the details filled in. And so what we do is, if we're trying to determine what roof slope looks the best, we'll do these kind of quick sketches to figure out how it looks and where the overhang comes down and those kinds of things. And so I'll kind of walk you through how to do that on this building. We're going with a gable roof on this one, and what I did is I went ahead and drew, it's a 12-inch overhang, and so I drew the roof out and put my ridge in. And then I can project those down into my front view. And with a gable roof, it's fairly simple, okay? And then you remember the drawing that I put on the board, we kind of figured about a 6-inch above the edge of the roof is where the roof crosses the exterior wall. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in, and at 3/32 of an inch, that's a pretty small bit. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put me a construction line across there so I know where it's at. So here's where my roof will actually cross over the exterior wall. Now, to determine the height of the roof, I guess you could, from there, you could draw each of them, 12 over 4 up, 12 over 6 up, like that. In doing this kind of thing, I find it easier just to do some calculations. And this house has a 12-foot run. Now, for the run, I'm going from center of roof, the ridge, to the outside edge of the wall, because that's where my drawing is working out from here. So that's my measurement. From the outside edge of the wall to the ridge is 12 feet. And with this house, since it's a 12-foot run, a 412 slope, I've got a 4-foot rise. A 612 slope, I got a 6-foot rise. Okay? But it just, for learning purposes, okay, for example, if I had a 10-foot run, now I have to do the math for that. And so what I'm taking this ratio and converting it over to this denominator. So what I do is I cross multiply and divide. So 4 times 10 is 40. Turn the calculator on. And then I divide by 12. And that gives me 3.33. For a 612 roof, it's going to be 5, because 6 over 12 is 0.5. It's a half, so half of 10 would give me a 5. Now an 812 roof, 80 divided by 12, 6.67. So these would be my total rise if I had a 10-foot run. We're dealing with a 12-foot run, so it's just whatever the roof slope is. You know, made it pretty simple for you. So what I would do is from this line, I would come up those distances from my 6-inch line. I come up the 4-foot, the 6-foot, and the 8-foot. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just draw some temporary construction lines across here, like so. From here, just put me a mark up there, and I know it's going to be 12 feet over. So there's where my peak is. And let's see, I need my 6-inch mark over here. Let me go to a thinner pencil here. Okay, so that gives me an idea of my my roof peaks for the different slopes. Okay, over here, it's, you know, kind of pretty self-explanatory. I got a, you know, 8, a 6, and a 4 as far as the height of it goes. But what I'd like to know is where my ridge comes down, or the eave and the soffit comes down over here. So I need to project over my overhang, which is 12 inches. So there's the extent of my overhangs. And then of course, my fascia, my roof thickness is about 6 inches, a little less than 6 inches on the fascia. But I can project those values over. And so I'm just going to go with the bottom one, which was the 812. All right, and you can see that line is just above the window trim. And when I drop down for my fascia, if I assume a 6-inch fascia thickness on that, that's actually down into the window area. So I can't use an 812 slope with a 12-inch overhang on this roof, because the outside edge of the roof is going to be down into my window area. So it's just not gonna work unless we do some kind of special overhang on that. So I know that 812 is not going to work. And one thing to keep in mind on roofs is a single-story building doesn't need a tall roof. Okay, if you think of the roof as being a hat, now we're dealing with, like, you know, a stovepipe Abraham Lincoln hat, okay, on a short man. So a tall roof on a one-story house just doesn't look, you know, really good. Things that affect the roof height, of course, the pitch of the roof does, but also the depth of the building. So if our building is deeper, then the roof goes higher because it has to go further back. If our building was 24 feet deep, then that 812 pitch roof would end up being up here. Okay, and you can see that's, like, you know, twice as tall as my building is. So it kind of looks bizarre on a one-story building. A two-story, it's not quite so bad. All right, so enough of that. So I know the 812 is not going to work. In the assignment, I said we're going to use a 612. So The 612 is kind of what you need. So I'm just going to kind of go through there and take those lines out. I need to know where the overhang is going to be. So where the 6 crosses the overhang line right here, I can project that across. And then if I drop down fascia thickness of 6 inches, that gives it to me there. So let me darken in this a little bit. Okay, so there's that roof. Oh, I didn't put my 12-inch mark out here. And I need my overhang on this side. And I also need a thickness of fascia here. And I'm going to measure perpendicular to my roof slope. Might have got done a little low on that side. Okay, and so there's my roof outline. Take out a little bit of that construction line trash there for you. All right, and now to kind of get a little bit better idea of how my house looks, I got a white sheet that's filled in. Here's one. Okay. What I did with like shingle roofing, I put a handout up on the in Blackboard on this week's assignment of elevation hatch symbols. And for a shingle roof, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll just do continuous lines, and they're pretty close together. You know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so apart. But you see, I haven't drawn them all the way through. I just kind of hit some highlights on the sides. If I'm doing wood siding, whatever the exposure of the wood siding is, that's kind of what I'll use if it's not, you know, really, really close. And with such a small scale drawing, I think those are about a foot apart at this scale. And then, I did like brick water table across the bottom, added in the corner boards and the gable vent and those kinds of things, and kind of detailed in the door and the window. So I just added some details to that, okay, to kind of, see how it looks with that. So that's something that I would like for you to do on these. And I'm just gonna freehand pop in a few here. Because all we're trying to do, especially with the roofing, is we're just trying to give it a little texture. Okay? So it's just not a big blank white space. Now, if we were, you know, trying to do presentation type drawings, we'd be a little bit more concerned about how it looks. But see, I'm just trying to give it a little bit of texture so there's just not a big blank white space there, okay? My siding, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just assume wood siding all the way down. And yeah, 1 foot apart's a little too far apart, so I'm gonna flip over and go with 1/16 inch, and I just make me some marks here with my rule so I'm consistent with it. And you don't necessarily have to draw all of them, but it does look good. Oh, I forgot my corner boards. Sorry about that. Corner boards are, you know, approximately 4 inches. And I gave you the trim on the windows and the doors there. All right, and so now we'll kind of start with filling in some of those. But see, not quite going all the way across. Just trying to fill it in, make it look, you know, once again, some texture, some symbolism, and that it's just not a big bunch of blank white space. And when I get closer to my doors and windows, I kind of want to hit the sides of them. You don't have to hit every one of them, but just trying to fill in, give some detail, some texture. I know I've said that, haven't I? Just while I'm drawing, I want to talk, so I'm not just, you know, sitting here doing stuff. Okay, and then for windows, usually for windows we'll go at like a 15-degree angle and put in a few lines. Not a lot, just a few to kind of simulate reflection in the glass there, okay? And of course, you know, if we had brick or, you know, whatever, we'd do a brick pattern. And so there's how that one works out, okay? Now then the hip roof, let me stop the video and then I'll get this tape down and get back with you on and show you how to do the hip roof.